question for Jerry now. As teams work remotely, can you talk about the NVIDIA grid for manufacturing and how it enables real-time collaboration? Could you mention examples of NVIDIA technologies that you see benefiting manufacturing? And also from your perspective, how do you see the present and future of robotics in manufacturing?
Yeah, thanks. Maybe I'll answer it this way, especially since we're on the topic of digital twins and how they apply to robotics. One thing that I'm actually really excited about personally for the future of robotics is to move beyond kind of the fixed function robots that we have now, which are fine for what they do. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think there's a space of applications that it's been difficult to address so far because these systems simply aren't able to learn. And that's the exciting future that I'm really looking forward to, is the ability for these autonomous systems to be able to learn from their mistakes and also learn from their successes. There's actually a growing field in machine learning that you guys I'm sure have heard of called reinforcement learning. The idea here is that the robot can learn from both its mistakes and its successes, as I mentioned. But the problem is that if you have a robot that's sort of doing this type of experimentation in the real world, in a real factory environment, obviously it's extremely dangerous and fairly destructive, not just for the robot, but for its surrounding environment, including the people potentially in the environment. So one approach that we've seen, and we've been actually investing quite a bit in, is the idea to create a digital twin of the robot itself, and then to insert that digital twin of the robot into a digital twin of the factory environment. And this this sort of sets up a sandbox for the robot to make all of its mistakes safely in this virtual environment that simulates all the physics and all the visual characteristics and the perception characteristics of the real environment. And now if this simulation is realistic enough so that you've taught the robot the right lessons in this virtual environment, then when you take the robot out of this simulation and put it into the real world, it can apply everything that it's learned potentially at super real time in this virtual space, and then apply it safely and productively in the real world. So that's an area that I'm actually quite interested in, and we're actually investing quite a bit of resources for our own purposes as well as for our partners.